Ignat's corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, flips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises. It just had to be. Dack's corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Hello Rovers fans and welcome to our post-match review. You can see there's 5 of us here today. We're giving you a little bonus on the final game of the season. We will come on to that in a moment. But Rovers end the season with a 5-2 victory against Birmingham City. What was all the bloody fuss about? Apparently we were safe in January based on the points total that's got relegated today. So what was all the fuss about for the end of the season? But no, on a serious note, really good to end the season with some goals and with some enjoyable football, with Amari Bell channeling his inner Roberto Carlos. Absolutely brilliant today. So all good in the Rovers camp. I'm not going to do any introductions and usual waffle at the moment because, as you can see, down in the bottom right of the screen, we have got Jacob from Lancs Live. I'll just unmute you, Jacob. We're really, really grateful for you giving up your time after the game. Your live from Ewood Park there. We should have done this earlier on in the season, but Jacob Crook, Lancs Live, joining us on the post-match. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm really good. I'm actually quite cold. I'm not going to lie. It's a bit freezing up here, but no, I'm good. Glad to be on. It's a bit of a shame it took so long, actually, but yeah, good to see you all.
Yeah, definitely. We should have got you on before just for a bit of instant reaction. But yeah, I'm going to come to you first just so that you can give us your views and thoughts and then not get evicted out of Ewood Park because you're out saying you're welcome. But yeah, Jacob, I guess just sum up your thoughts on the game first. Obviously, we've joked around and done the banter all season. You are obviously a Birmingham City fan, but from a Rovers perspective, you know, how did you find the game from a Rovers perspective today? You know, did you see any shoots for next season, things to get excited about? How did you find the game?
Yeah, I think it was good to see the midfield trio today. Sorry, mate.
Oh, sorry,
oh, it's all kicking off here. Yeah, it was good to see the midfield trio today. I think the last couple of weeks we've been saying how we wanted to see Travis, Davenport, and Buckley all together. So it was really good to see them, and it was encouraging signs as well. Obviously, I think Davenport he's got a bit of everything about him. He's effective, but like quietly effective. Obviously, Buckley's got the flair and obviously playing in that more advanced role, and we know what Trav's capable of. So seeing them 3 together was excellent today. And then, of course, Armstrong, whether he stays or goes, is a completely different matter. But again, what an exceptional season, an exceptional player. Brilliant again. It's not just his goal scoring either. It's just his movement, the way he just navigates around defences. And poor Pedersen, I mean, he was the only real experienced one on the pitch today. Obviously, Steve Seddon's had a few years with him, same with Cogley, but he gave him a right run around today.
Yeah, and have you been in the post-match interview now, Jacob? Have you heard the words of Mowbray? You know, what's the kind of vibes and views coming out of Mowbray and the team from what you've seen post-match?
Yeah, I think he looked relieved, man. He said he was looking forward to going back to seeing his family and everything. So it'd be nice to have a break for him. But he did say that, you know, they're expecting an offer for Armstrong, and if it's a good one, then they'll happily, you know, shake their hand and he can reinvest in it. Which it's 2 ways of looking at it, really. Obviously, you don't want him to leave, but at the same time, if any investment that they get for him and they can utilise it and improve the playing squad, then it'll be worth it. But obviously, finding somebody who's contributed that many goals this season's no easy task, is it really? So it'd be interesting to see on that part. And also, speaking of like players departing as well, like giving a farewell applause. It's a bit of a sombre affair. Obviously, Corey Evans leaving, possibly Stuart Downing as well. Well, definitely will be Stuart Downing and a few others in front of an empty Ewood. It just doesn't feel right, but it's the way the world is at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, Jacob, because as I say, obviously with your connections to Birmingham, I was personally bricking this game a little bit because had Birmingham won and we'd finished below Birmingham City, I actually think that would have been a disastrous season from a Rovers perspective. So I've obviously not had you on the show all season. So just sum up your thoughts about Rovers this season, just on the whole, just how are you feeling about it all now it's all finished?
Yeah, I mean, frustrating is a word that's used a lot, and it is just a frustration. It's quite, just heading into this game felt quite apathetic about it all, really. Obviously, the squad is better than the position that it's achieved. Whether it was capable of actually finishing in the top six, that's open for debate. But obviously, they should have finished higher and on a greater points tally than what they did. But obviously, in a game like today, as they proved, when the pressure's off, they're capable of dissecting teams. No, Birmingham had a few under-23 players that featured, but like against Huddersfield the other week, they were ruthless. So yeah, it's frustrating. But I think there's sort of positive signs in the way that they've learnt a lot about themselves this season. I think obviously there's a lot of change that's to occur this summer, but I think they've learnt a lot about themselves, and there's a few players that'll be a year older. They'll learn from these experiences. We know where the problems are. It's just solving them. I think that's actually what the most frustrating part is. Is that it seems to be like a repetitive theme in many instances, like not taking chances and conceding sloppy goals. But yeah, there's stuff to build from. But again, today they certainly weren't like any. I didn't have any issues in front of goal today.
And if there's things that you can't say, Jacob, obviously, because it's on YouTube and things, then obviously don't answer. But I just think a few interesting things today. Obviously, Daniel Ayala came on and Harwood Bellis went off. Harvey Elliott, potentially his last appearance of the season. Joe Rothwell wasn't in the squad today, I think, because of injury. And then Amari Bell, who I think rumours are there that he's going to be offered the new deal, who looked like a different player, completely confident. What's the latest around contracts, players coming and going? Are we going to get some of these players back on loan? What are the things that you can say at this moment in time?
Yeah, so they've pretty much they've had the conversations with players who are staying and leaving. On the loan front, there's a possibility that Harwood Bellis could potentially come back. It depends on how they see fit at Manchester City and what the issue is there. I mean, he said he's open to it, but there's likely to be Premier League interest as well. It's just ultimately down to Manchester City in that regard. I think Blackburn Rovers anticipate that Harvey Elliott will be competing for a spot in the Liverpool team next season. So that's another one where you'd probably have to see, but it's unlikely that he'll return. And then on the out of contract sort of front, Ballas, it's likely that Bell will stay as sort of like a backup to Harry Pickering. Financially, Barry Douglas was never really viable on that sort of front. So them sort of discussions are ongoing. Obviously, Corrie's departing, Lewis Holtby's departing. Stuart Downing is expected to depart, although whether a coaching role becomes available or not, it remains to be seen. It's sort of like if a vacancy becomes available, we might be able to have it. Who else have I missed? Bradley Johnson, Elliot Bennett. At the minute, it's looking likely that they will leave, particularly Elliot Bennett. Is there anybody else who I've missed?
JRC and Rothwell, maybe.
Oh, yeah, Joe Rothwell's definitely staying. I've triggered the 12-month extension on that. They're hoping he'll be a big part of the plans. It's the same with Nyambi and JRC. They're hoping both of them with a 12-month extension now. I'll stay on. Obviously, it's not what they want in terms of a long-term deal, but for the immediate future, it ties them down for the next season at least. But yeah, it looks like Nyambi will be staying. Same with Joe Rankin Costello as well. But Joe Rothwell was an injury today, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Jacob, I'll let you get off because I know you're probably being eyeballed by the security staff there. But just give us one last look of Ewood Park. We've all missed it. We're very jealous of you being there. There it is in all its glory, Rovers fans. Hopefully, we're all going to be back there, ready for the first home game of next season. Jacob, thanks for all your work at Lancs Live, mate. I know that the things that the club, do allow you to say and don't allow you to say, etc., etc. But I think you've always done things with a great honesty at Lancs Live. So thank you for the coverage that you've provided at your end as well.
Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Take care as well, guys.
No worries. Cheers, Jacob. See you later, mate.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. Just thought we'd get Jacob in just as the final action of the season there. We should have done it before, shouldn't we? It's always nice seeing Ewood Park, and we could have got some of those away grounds and things in there. But I can formally now say hello to Glenn, hello to Jonathan, and hello to Tom. Sorry that you were sat there, but Jacob gave us some useful nuggets and insight there. But before we obviously get into the game, I do just want to do the couple of reminders that we usually do. We are sponsored by Blue Rose Capital, and we are sponsored by 𝒐𝒗𝒆𝒔.com. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝒐𝒗𝒆𝒔.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below. Thank you to our two sponsors, 𝒐𝒗𝒆𝒔.com and Blue Rose Capital. So, Glenn, I'm going to come to you first because Hunters has given you a lot of love in there. Oh, Glenn, we love you. We love you, Glenn. We do. So it's only fitting that I come to you first. So just going to ask the three of you the same questions, really, at the start. Always odd at the end of the season. You kind of reach the end. Rovers have come 15th, probably not where we all wanted to finish. So two questions, really. Your thoughts on the game overall and how much you enjoyed it, and then just your thoughts about the season and just sum up how you're feeling now the season's over.
I think the game was thoroughly enjoyable. I can't remember the last time I watched the Rovers, maybe the Huddersfield game, and enjoyed the actual game without any kind of pressure of playoffs, relegation, anything like that. But then actually the performance, I thought we showed everything we've been good at this season. We saw the best of what Ben Brereton's kind of improved at this year with his strength, his kind of finishing. Armstrong was doing what Armstrong does this season. I did kind of worry once we conceded the first, and then obviously we got the quick penalty, which helped. And then the second, you do think, oh God, is it going to be another one of those days where two kind of errors cost us? But no, thoroughly enjoyed it. Good way to sign the season off. I think, like, just to echo what Jacob said, we've lost quite a few kind of Rovers players these last couple of years. You think about your Danny Graham's last season, you're going to lose Charlie Mulgrew, Corey Evans, and the fans aren't going to be there to show their appreciation, which I think is quite sad, really. Regardless of how the season's kind of panned out, it is kind of a shame we can't thank them for what they've done for the club. In terms of the season, I never really thought we were good enough for playoffs. I'd have liked us to have improved on last year, either points or position in the table finish, but it's not turned out that way. I think Dak said in the commentary that it just that month during February has destroyed us again this year. Any kind of hopes we had of looking upwards and making a late push just kind of died a death there, really. So, yeah, I'm glad we finished with a bit of a flurry in terms of the Huddersfield game and the game today. It would be nice to kind of pick up where we leave off next season, hopefully with fans back in the ground and get a strong start. I'm sure we'll come on to how that looks later on.
Definitely, and we absolutely have finished with a flurry. Jonathan, I'm going to come to you next, just with the same two questions, your thoughts on the game and the season as a whole. But what a season Rovers have had in many respects. You know, I can't remember the last time we had a 29-goal striker. I can't remember the last time we scored 5 goals in a game 3 times. Can't remember the last time we had a plus 11 goal difference or whatever we finished on. Yet we find ourselves really disappointed with a 15th place finish. So just really bizarre metrics surrounding our whole season. So same questions for you, Jonathan, the game itself, and just sum up how you're feeling as a fan, because I'm bloody confused.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, game today really enjoyable. Good to watch. As Glenn said, we just sat there, sort of no pressure on. You saw the Birmingham team sheet when it came out, and you're thinking, oh yeah, this is a chance for us to really sort of sign off in style. We started really well, some good intent, unlucky with Armour's free kick that hit the bar. Then, oh, so typical of us, we conceded as we did, but get back on early terms and going ahead at half time was great, and great finish from Brereton in terms of the strength and the composure, actually, which was good to see. Second half, you always knew what was going to happen when 𝒂𝐻𝐿 come on, and it only took 3 minutes to happen from that. But then we was always the dominant team, made subs which slowed down the tempo a little bit, but once we got back ahead, it was, yeah, just great football, really. As sort of you and Glenn touched on, really disappointed that we couldn't be there to give some of the players the farewell they deserved. Corey Evans to get 2 assists on his farewell game. We should all be doing the samba down the riverside for that sort of thing, shouldn't we? Instead of being miles away. But then again, it just really just masks over a disappointing season. I looked back actually what I'd said at the start, and I predicted we'd finish 9th to start with, but with a couple of decent additions, could be pushing closer to the playoffs. So the fact that we've not improved in terms of points or position, I do think is disappointing. But as you said, to have the second top scorer in the league, who's scored more than Rhodes scored in 12-13, to have the 7th best goal difference in the league. Bizarrely, we've actually scored 1 less this season than we did last season, but conceded 9 fewer. It just is odd, really. And I look at the table to the left of me now, and to see us below Luton, Millwall, Middlesbrough, QPR, Reading, no disrespect to any of those teams, I wouldn't have predicted us below many of those back in August, September time.
Definitely. And I do want to make sure that we talk about Adam Armstrong in some detail tonight, because I think he deserves it, most certainly. But I think you're absolutely right, Jonathan. If I think about the League One season and the effort that took to get back from League One and the togetherness of that squad, Elliot Bennett, if he is no longer a Rovers player, the same with Corey Evans, the same with Adam Armstrong. You know, you've got 3 big players there who were part of that League One season who we've not had the chance to applaud, plus those other really notable mentions from Harvey Elliott, most certainly, and then Lewis Holtby and Bradley Johnson as well, who have, you know, done their fair share of things as well. So it's a real shame that we've not had the usual end of season to applaud players for their contributions as we transition through. But I'm going to forward mark a conversation about Adam Armstrong, because he definitely deserves it. And you're right, Jonathan. You know, if I think about my emotional attachment to someone like Jordan Rhodes, it just feels far stronger than towards Adam Armstrong. And I don't know why that is. So I really do want to have that conversation. Tom, you've been sat there patiently. Thank you, mate. Yeah, sum up your thoughts on the game. I understand you were watching it on your phone because you were dragged out the house.
Well, it was the whole thing, wasn't it? I don't know why she thought we had time to go to IKEA, but it's one of them. Didn't even go in. The NQ were too big, so straight to Warrington and back. But I enjoyed the game. It was nice. It's the first one I've watched in a long time. I don't think I've watched one since the last time I was on. What game was that? Was that the Cardiff game? The 1-1?
Sorry.
Last time I was on the post, was that Cardiff? I think it was Cardiff.
Oh, it could have been Cardiff, yeah.
So it was. I've not watched the game since then, basically, because I've just not been bothered. I've not cared. So I watched this one today. I enjoyed watching it. It was nice seeing us score 5 goals. Again, you sit there and think, what if? Because you've scored 5 goals, albeit against the young Birmingham team. But you do think, what if? It is sad, like everyone said, to echo what Glenn and Jonathan have both said. It's sad that we're not seeing Elliot Bennett and Corey Evans get a deserved goodbye. I think Corey Evans and Bennett have both had the critics during the time at the club. But I think, on the whole, they've both been very good servants to the club. And Bennett in particular, I think, embodied everything that Blackburn was, especially in that League One season. So his influence, especially on social media, I think is going to be missed. I have a hell of a lot of respect for Elliot Bennett, even if he's not always been the best football player. I think he's embodied what I want Blackburn Rovers to be about, just that hard work and just that pride in wearing the football shirt. I think that you miss that a lot with players these days. So having someone like Bennett, it's been an honour to watch him wear the blue and white halves. With regards to the season, disappointing. Like I said, today was just another typical case of what if. Because you score 5, Adam Armstrong, 29 goals, whatever it is, and you're 15th. You've got a goal difference of plus 11. Barnsley have a goal difference of plus 8, and they're comfortably in the playoffs. It's just been a funny one. It's bizarre. I don't think you could have written the season. And it's typical Rovers that as soon as that pressure's off and we got that win when it meant we personally weren't going to get relegated, we've been able to turn it on and score 5 in a couple of games. Feels the end of an era as well in a weird way. This hand change of the guard, like I said, with Evans and Bennett both leaving, that League One squad now is well and truly, it's disbanded, hasn't it? There's not many really there that were regulars then. I feel weird. It's strange. I don't know how to feel because I expected something this season. It's not happened. And I'm not sad that it's not now. I'm quite sad that we're not there to say goodbye to these players. It's quite scatty, that, isn't it? But I think that's probably how the season's been, quite scatty and all over the place.
Yeah, it has, and all the metrics back it up in the stuff that Jonathan was relaying there as well. So it's been a strange old season in many respects, and the stats are just weird for where we find ourselves and how it's felt. Just a few comments that Tony Mowbray's done in the post-match presser, and Glenn, I'm going to come to you after I've read these. So Mowbray's spoken about that 5 loanees who are on the club's book come the end of the season go back, including Harvey Elliott. So he's gone on to say, there are definitely holes in the team that need fill-in with out-of-contract players, loan players. You saw Harvey Elliott score a wonder goal today. He won't be here next year. Wouldn't be surprised if he's playing for Liverpool in the Premier League next season. The likes of Corey Evans and Stewie Downing have both contributed. They're going to be leaving the club. And he said it's not a concern. Like every football club, it evolves, bring new players, academy products through, gives the chance to be in the team. We'll shake these lads by the hand who are leaving, wish them well, and let the next generation come forward. So, Glenn, next season certainly has that feel of transitional for Rovers, doesn't it? So we're going to come on to Adam Armstrong in a moment. We're expecting to get some money for him, but I think we're not going to go out and be spending a load of money, I think, because of the last 18 months that the football clubs had to deal with the pandemic and revenue and things like that. So what we do in the transfer market, as the sun is bright in your eyes right there. Here we go.
There we go. Sorry about that.
What we do in the transfer market might be quite modest, and we might have to use that academy. So, how do you think next season's going to be? Because Mowbray's right, isn't he? As much as Holtby might not have lit up the ground, as much as Bradley Johnson in the second half of the season might not have been the best, as much as we've never really seen Corey Evans to his maximum like he plays for Northern Ireland, these are big shoes to fill, aren't they? So Rovers are going to have a really important summer with that probably small transfer budget that we've got and those academy players that we may or may not have.
Yeah, I feel like this season was the start of kind of Mowbray 2.0, and we're going to see this new style of football, and it's kind of come, and we're moving on to Mowbray 3.0 already, potentially next season. I think a massive thing as well is, like Tom said, is that core of that squad from League One, and the fact that they kind of epitomised what the fans want in terms of they were hard-working, but they had quality. But you could tell there was a togetherness as well. And then kind of you think about that team with your likes of Mulgrew, Graham, Bennett, your Dax, and that there was a definite togetherness there. I think the big worry for me this off-season is that team's gone now. You've kind of got, Lenihan and Dak left. That's probably about it, isn't it, really? Armstrong, if he's still here. Like you said, we're given the financial situation after COVID and just Rovers in general financially, we're not going to, I don't think, see any money we do get for Armstrong if he goes isn't all going to go back into the playing squad. And I think we have to be kind of realistic with that. Plus the massive sell-on clause, I believe Newcastle have as well, not to depress everybody just after that. But I think it is an opportunity for like the under-23s to step up, the scouting team to step up. We needed a goalkeeper last summer. We were crying out for someone to come in and be the number one. And guess what? We went and found someone for 500 grand who's just got player of the season. And yeah, typical player of the season drops a catch today and then concedes the first. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I thought he was fouled at his legs for that. Goalkeepers union. I think he got tripped up. So, but yeah, I think we're not going to have a lot to spend. We are going to have to rely on the academy a bit. And no doubt we will have to rely on loan players. I think Elliott, I'm not sure if he's Liverpool first team grade yet. I don't know if he suits their style of play, but he's definitely kind of above where we are this season, as you can see from today and throughout the season. And I think the players that are going, I think, yeah, I'm sad that they're going, and we've not had the chance to kind of give them the send-off. But the likes of Corey Evans, he's injured far too often for me now. He's a great player when he's fit. I put in the chat the other day, he's kind of epitomised by that Bristol City game last season where he came back after however many months out, man of the match performance. Then we don't see him for a month because he's broke a toe or something. Obviously, he can't help breaking a toe, but it's just kind of symbolic of he plays a game, he misses two. Same with Holtby, you'd see him, he'd be brilliant. We wouldn't see him again for 2 weeks. And at a time when Mowbray kind of likes to shuffle his pack as often as possible, you need players there who are going to be saying, I'm fit week in, week out. I'll put a good performance in and I'll be ready to go next week. And I kind of think Davenport kind of falls into that a little bit as well. Obviously, he'll be here next season. He looks good when he's played, but then we might not see him for 2 weeks. So I'm interested. I'm kind of excited. I saw in the comments, it's kind of exciting and scary at the same time where we're going to go in the off season. I think we always kind of finish the season and think, oh, there's going to be mass changes. We're going to see so many players out of contract, so many loan players going. But actually, it's generally just 2 or 3 players that come in. You see more of the youth team getting a chance, and I'd expect more of the same, really.
Yeah, indeed. And Jonathan, I want to come to you because Duncan has certainly been thinking what I was thinking. You know, Duncan makes the point here, 300 players just in the top 2 divisions, free transfers to pick up. So as much as Rovers are losing players and contracts have expired and things like that, actually, probably this pre-season coming up is probably what's going to be post-pandemic football, just maybe for a few transfer windows, isn't it? Because all clubs have struggled with revenue. All clubs have struggled to tie players down to long contracts because of that whole revenue. When you think about players like, you know, I've said about 𝒑𝒉𝒂𝒂𝒑 on this stream before, and Sheffield Wednesday are probably going to lose some good players. You know, they've just been relegated, maybe Rotherham, and then other clubs in the Championship and indeed the Premier League. There might be some gems to pick up in that free transfer market, might there? So it's not all doom and gloom from a Rovers perspective, is it? You know, we might just be able to find some of these little gems.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think obviously us on the panel here and those in the comments, we know Rovers in and out, so we see the situation, we see the number of people we've got out of contract day by day. But as Duncan highlighted, there's so many players out of contract. You even see it in the Premier League. I think I was reading Crystal Palace; they've got 13 players out of contract in the summer. So yeah, I think it is probably more of a level playing field than we think, but. As Glenn touched on, I think for us it's that sort of savviness of can we find 1 or 2 European gems? Can we find some free transfers? Even today, Martin Waghorn, who's ultimately kept Derby up with his goals, he's out of contract. What happens to him next? I suppose with some of the free transfers, you do worry about wages like Waghorn and Assombalonga, maybe even Jeju, where they're on big wages that we probably could nowhere near match. But equally, if we do get the money for Armstrong and we only have 5 million, say, to reinvest in the squad, we've got to then be savvy and go and try and find 3 or 4 lower league players who cost $500,000, 600,000, who are keen, who have done well in League One, who are eager to step up. Really, I do agree with it's a sort of a exciting but nervous situation. I am going to give a little bit of credit to the club where I think actually. All the decisions they've made on the out of contract players, I think I agree with. I think it is a good case of actually getting rid of some deadwood, because Corey Evans, Glenn sums it up nicely. Really amazing against Bristol City, and then we didn't see him no more. Holtby, fantastic player, but just not consistent enough. Benno, I think his time's just come to leave. Johnson's possibly the one that I would have maybe kept, because I do worry a little bit about that experience side of things. Because I look back to, I think it was Reading away last year where we won 2-1, and I remember that was one of Johnson's and Downing's first games, and we was 2-1 up going into injury time, and it's one of the first times I remember for ages as a Rovers fan. I stood in the crowd and actually felt quite comfortable. We weren't under any pressure, and that sort of like Nelson experience they had. I'm just a little bit worried about. Losing that, but equally, fingers crossed that we've heard that we are talking to players early. Who those players are, we don't know, but that's what I'm keen to see us doing, being nice and crystal clear in the next week. Right, this is all the decisions we've made. This is the players that we've got going. these are the youngsters that we're giving contracts to. These are who we're offering the extension to, and just sort of really being proactive. Admittedly, I say that as well, knowing that the Armstrong situation might hinge on how proactive we can be. But at the same time, I do think there are equally free contract football players out there that are desperate for a living, desperate to sign for a club, and we are still a good pool in this league, definitely.
Yeah, we absolutely are, Jonathan. I agree. I think there are some gems to be had out there, most certainly, particularly if it's a player that might have been relegated from the Premier League that didn't get much game time last season, or the other way around, they've just been relegated from the Championship, etc. I think there's some gems to be had out there. I'm just going to go through the comments, and Tom, then I'll come to you. So Duncan, there's a huge comment that covers up both Jonathan and Glenn, but making the point that, you know, Mowbray's here to stay. He's obviously doing his business now. He's getting rid of the players, like what Jonathan said there. And we want to see some young, hungry players, like out of League One, etc., like Harry Pickering, who are going to come in and improve this side. Chris is worried and excited about a squad overhaul. Michael just feels strange and deflating, finished strongly, but a huge letdown since January. And then there was one more, Matt, and this is what's going to lead me on to you, Tom. It wasn't that one, actually. It was your other one, Matt. Sorry. I take Billy Gilmour from Chelsea on loan. Barry Bannon could be a good attacking option for us. So, Tom, do you think that that's how we should be doing our business in the summer? So a combination of really good Premier League loans, like we've seen with Elliott, with Adarabioyo, with Harrison Reed, etc., balanced out with good Championship performers with experience who might be available on a free, like Barry Bannon, and you might just make the odd couple of £1 million or £2 million signings with the Armstrong money. I think that's the way we need to go next season.
Yes and no, in a weird way. I know I got to sit on the fence there. It's weird. I'd be apprehensive to put too much purchasing loans. We've done that for the past couple, 2-3 seasons, haven't we? Obviously, Walton and Adarabioyo too that come to thingy from last season, where because them two left, not that I wanted Christian Walton, but because them two left, it was right. You need a new goalkeeper and you need a new centre half. We're almost in the same boat this season. Harwood Bellis has been the first choice centre half. Daniel Ayala, we know we're going to get about 3 games from him next season. So again, you're trying to bring in another player to come in on loan. Harvey Elliott. He's definitely one of the first names on the team sheet, really, when we're fighting for something, and he's gone. So I'd just be apprehensive to bring in too many loan players that are ones that are the first name on the team sheet, because I think we need to start building our own squad rather than being reliant on it. I think we've been a bit too reliant on loans since we were promoted back to the Championship. They're good to have. And if you said to me, right, okay, we can have Harvey Elliott again next season on loan, obviously I'd snap your hand off. I just think if we want to do this rebuild and do it properly, it's about bringing in probably these free transfer gems that you're speaking about, people like Barry Bannon. Maybe not him. He's definitely quality, but I don't know whether he's the right fit. He has just been in a team that's been relegated, albeit with was it a 9-point deduction?
6.
So there we go. It's still a team that's not playing or played particularly well this season. So I'm always apprehensive about looking at the relegated players, because whilst you're going to have a standout player in there from them teams, they've still been in a team that have that it's almost ingrained that they're losing, and I think sometimes that can be hard to get out of. I think there's other options that I've since Simon Childs, Adam Reach, classic Mowbray signing. I know Joe mentioned him on the live stream. But yeah, it's a tough one. I'd rather see us buy players in League One for maybe £500,000, £750,000, and a few of them players, similar to a Harry Pickering, and almost rebuild that way, than bring in loans that we become reliant on. Just one man that out from Sheffield Wednesday, and that's Jordan Rhodes. I don't care if he'd be rubbish now. I just want to see him in a Blackburn shirt again. I don't care. Like I said, I've just got this emotional attachment to him that I can't get over. I can't get over it. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. And it's like the ex-girlfriend that deep down, You're always going to have a flame for her. And that's Jordan Rose for me.
I must admit, I had the Derby Sheffield Wednesday game streaming on the phone alongside the watch along, and he went down injured a couple of times. I was like, no, not Jordan, don't do this to me. So there is that attachment. This is generating a lot of discussion in the comments, so I'm just going to run through these as best I can. So Chris would be happy with Gilmore, and Andy making the point that Gilmore might be a pipe dream, though it would be great. I think for Rovers, I think our best chances of loans are probably those Northwest clubs. I'm not sure how many of like the London-based youngsters do end up going north or whatever. You know, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but it feels like one that would be unlikely for us as well, Andy. I do agree. Chris, I only want to see 1 or 2 loans. Otherwise, we'll end up in the same boat next season. THB and Elliott. And an Elliott standard player, sorry. So Taylor Harwood-Bellis, definitely I agree with that, Chris, and someone of Elliott's standards. So maybe someone from Liverpool or Man City. Whether we're going to get anyone of Elliott's standard, Chris, I'm not sure, because he seems to be a generational talent. He seems to be just absolutely amazing footballer. You know, you don't make your debut at 15 years old for no reason. So whether we'll get anyone that good who'll impact on our team in that way, I'm not so sure. But hopefully there's someone at Man City, Man United, Liverpool, whatever, who we might be able to get. And then Chris going on to say Travis will become the leader next season, build the midfield around him. Simon, Adam Reach is a classic Mowbray signing. Chris, Reach would be perfect. Jamie, agreeing with you, Tom. I tell you what, I take Rhodes back. I feel like he still has that anticipation and goals to his game. Brian, Bannon, the best player on the pitch against us and delivery far better than what we have. I mean, with Barry Douglas going back, Brian, I think there's certainly a left-footed in-swinging delivery that we do need, certainly. And then Leap Year Man, free agents list in the Championship is an interesting read. Lots of decent players available. So I did say... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just another point just to add to that, which I think is just thinking about it, which will be a different sort of conundrum next season for all Championship sides, is actually what sort of squad sizes they go with, because there's the potential that we've not got this packed schedule. We'll probably lose 5 subs, which then means losing, 9 on the bench, is it? So it might actually sort of even, I don't know, thinking out loud here, change the sort of free agent market where teams are actually being a lot more picky. So maybe the average wage might get driven down.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really fair point. You know, we'll see what goes on. Sorry, Glenn, were you going to come in?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've always felt we were a little bit top heavy in midfield this season as well. We had a lot of players in there, and I always felt that the likes of like the Downing deal and things like that were always well, if we get injuries plus a COVID outbreak, how are we going to get numbers on the pitch? So yeah, it's a good point that, Jonathan. I think if we do lose all these players, we might not necessarily replace them 1 for 1. We might see a smaller squad, and then that affects obviously the wage budget as well. Yeah, definitely.
I think Leap Year Man has got the free agents list open. So Kadeem Harris certainly had a great game against Rovers for Sheffield Wednesday, and Amiobi has always just been that player that you don't know what he's going to do next. Leap Year Man, keep dropping them into the comments for us, players who are on that free agent list, and we might bite on one eventually. So just drip feed them in for us. That would be good. I did want to move this discussion on to Adam Armstrong because he does deserve it. He deserves some airtime. So I'm just going to read out a few things. Obviously signed for Rovers for a fee believed to be in the region of 1.75 million. I'm going off Wikipedia here, so sorry if these stats are slightly out. 55 goals for Blackburn Rovers in, 150 games. This season, 28 goals in the Championship, which apart from this season and the season where Glenn Murray scored 30 goals, I believe would have been Championship top goal scorer. This is a person who, when Bradley Dack got his first knee injury, really rose to the fore and contributed to this team massively and became the talisman. And he's a man who, I don't mind admitting, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to be registering on my emotional radar like Jordan Rose does. So, Glenn, I just want to come to you first. Do you think this is where the pandemic has really affected someone from a fan's perspective like Adam Armstrong? Had we been in the stadiums, had we been in those moments, had we seen those hat-tricks live, had we been at Cardiff away when he scored that amazing goal, etc., 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 Do you think fans would be having him in that regard, like Jordan Rhodes? First question. And actually, secondly, for someone like me, should I be bloody respecting someone like Adam Armstrong a lot more than what I'm currently doing?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the pandemic has a big impact. We haven't seen a lot of these goals. I think he just kind of moved into that centre forward position once we sort of got bored from going to the grounds and whatnot with the pandemic. And obviously that affects your kind of emotional attachment to that. But I think also just the way the kind of seasons have gone as well. I think if we get in the playoffs and it's Adam Armstrong's goals that get us there, that elevates him up again. I think it's the fact that we've had those periods of time. I mean, let's not forget he went a fair while without scoring as well. Kind of, I can't remember the month now, but they haven't been a consistent goal at every other game kind of thing. They kind of come in flurries, and not saying that's a bad thing. I do think we maybe do need to put a bit more respect on his name. I think ever since he had the good season last year, there was a bit of talk about whether he'd stay. He stayed, had a cracking start to the season this year. And I think instead of kind of appreciating him, and I'm guilty of this, a lot of fans have looked at how much is he worth? How much money can we get in for him to rebuild the squad? And as soon as you lose that potential for getting the playoffs, you revert back to that. So I think he's been seen more from a kind of an asset and a business point of view rather than sheer football, goal scoring, that kind of thing. I mean, that record, I didn't realise that about Glenn Murray and the season this year. He'd have been top scorer. And we're 15th in the league. He's not doing it for a team that's flying at the top of the league, is he? He's doing it for a team that went however many games without a win in February. He's doing it for a team that's kind of mid to bottom half of the table. It is a fantastic achievement, but I will caveat that with I did vote for Thomas Kaminski for Player of the Season. But again, Goalkeepers Union, I thought that was a bigger need. But in terms of Armstrong, I think the fact that Mowbray has changed his entire style of play to suit his attributes up front says a lot about how good he's been for the team, how much Mowbray rates him. And I just add in a funny story. Since he moved to kind of playing up front, my mum, who's a season ticket holder, I don't know if she's watching today, she has maintained he's not a striker. He's a winger. He's not a striker. So every time he scores, she gets a text. He's not a striker. Christmas, she got a T-shirt with a picture of Armstrong doing the Angel of the North with he's not a striker written underneath. And she still maintains today, despite 2 hat-tricks in 3 games, he's still a winger. So I'd just like to leave it on that note if she's watching.
Helen, I'm afraid that you're going to have to not dig your heels in on this one. The goals that he scored, the stats do not lie, I'm afraid. 28 goals in the Championship is exceptional in any season, and really unlucky for Armour this season that Ivan Toney's got the 31 that he's got and gets that golden boot. Jonathan, I'm going to come to you. Mowbray's talked about in the post-match presser, and Jacob touched on it as well, that we are expecting interest and we're hoping that we're going to get a really good bid for him. And then we shake the hands and he goes. I just want to pick up on one thing here. So I'm on the whoscored.com website at the moment. Is 28 goals are 43% of the 65 that we've scored, and 43% of goals when really Sam Gallagher hasn't been prolific. Ben Brio hasn't been prolific. We haven't had an Emi Buendia type of midfielder who's banging in loads of goals. Strip everything back, whatever we think about Armstrong, however emotionally attached we are to him compared to Jordan Rhodes, stripped right back, 43% of goals when the rest of your team isn't really that prolific. That's got to be a bit of a worry for us next season, hasn't it? And we've got to replace those goals, whether it's with 1 player or 2 or 3. Those goals need replacing, else we could have a bit of an interesting season next season.
Glenn, your mum's gone swimming before I say anything. I was just noticed that. I did actually. I personally voted for Armstrong Player of the Season. I have a slight bias, actually, having played striker myself at a lot lower level, but his numbers have been sort of phenomenal this year, and it's quite scary, as you say, Ryan. 43% is massive. I know he's missed a lot of chances, but equally he's created a lot of chances for himself. I personally don't want him to go, but I appreciate that. That's just a personal opinion, not a business opinion. He's our most saleable asset at the moment, and none of us want to be in the position where this time next season we're going to lose him on a free transfer. It is worrying that we've not got those sort of other players who are stepping up to the mark. And Admittedly, Brereton, what he's got, I think today was his 7th this year, which is a massive improvement on 1 over the 2 previous seasons. Gallagher got 8, I think. Elliott 7 as well. But it's such a massive potential sort of goals that we will lose. If Armstrong stays, he might not have the same sort of season again, but you're pretty sure he's going to get sort of 15, 20 goals even at a bad season, which is still double what the next highest scorer's got. So that's a sort of real sort of worry for me. And also, as I mentioned earlier, about if we do sell him, I'd prefer him to go as soon as possible, so we've got that time to sort of do our business. But I don't personally think that's going to happen. I think that will be one transfer that drags on, because if he's going to go, you think it's going to be to a Premier League club. West Ham have been linked, Brighton, maybe one of the promoted teams might look at him. The Premier League's still got 3 weeks left to go, so there's no way that they're sort of like looking at transfers yet, etc. I know the window doesn't open straight away, but I don't. Yeah, it is a real difficult one, because as much as I'd like Ben and Gallagher to step up to the plate, if they both get double figures next year, I think that would be good, because I can't see either of them getting the sort of 15, 20 that Armstrong and possibly Dak would if he had a full season.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the stats here. So Harvey Elliott got 7 goals. So, with Armstrong's 28 goals, that's 35 goals, potentially not in the Rovers side next season. And actually, if you look at the assists, Harvey Elliott got 11, Adam Armstrong's next on 5. So goals and assists, that is a big percentage out next season that Rovers are going to have to replace. I don't necessarily think it's going to be one player that replaces Armstrong like for like. I just hope we make a few savvy signings in that forward area, bring on the likes of Dolan, Brio, Ben Brereton and Sam Gallagher more as well, and maybe address Armstrong's goals collectively rather than signing someone. So, Tom, just on that note, it's being picked up here by Duncan in the comments. Brio can be switched from the wing like Armour did and do the same job given the run up front. And then I hope this is right, Duncan, because I'm going to go off your stats that Brio scored the same this year as Armour did on the wing. Actually, today, Tom, I thought Brereton's goal was really good centre-forward play. So Gallagher plays the ball over top. Brio gets his body in front. He's really strong, and it's a nice, calm finish. So let's not forget, we've got £12 million worth of striker at the club already. What's your views on Brio and Gallagher next season and them filling the void left by Adam Armstrong?
I don't know that Brio can do the same job as Armour down the middle. I think they're different players. I actually quite like Brereton. I think he's very good with the ball into his feet, working in those tight spaces, nicking it around a player. So I would be interested to see him up front, because I think he'd actually be okay with that ball into feet, almost not playing like a Danny Graham, because he's not got that same aerial prowess or anything like that. But someone that can play into feet, hold it up a little bit, and then play it off. But he's also got that little bit of pace. And I thought he took his goal brilliantly today. No doubt about that, it was a fantastic finish. Gallagher, I've never been convinced by him. He scored 8 goals this season, though, so maybe I'm wrong. And he has been playing off the wing. I've just never been that convinced that he's going to be able to produce the numbers that we need. But I've noticed Andy's been saying something in the comments that 60% of the chances were Armstrong's this season. So without him there, like you said, those chances get more evenly spread. And then all of a sudden, does Brereton pick up an extra few goals? Does Gallagher pick up a few extra goals? We'd need someone to replace him, but obviously it's not going to be a like for like. We need someone that's going to pick up a little bit of the slack, because you don't necessarily need a player that's going to score all those goals if you've got someone where it's going to spread out a little bit. In the League One season, it was sort of like that. I know Dak got 18, I think, did he? Graham got about 18. So that was relatively spread out. If you've got 2 players that can maybe score 13, 14 each, a few more that can score 5 or 6, 7, then you don't necessarily need that talisman. So it's going to be an interesting season. It all comes down again to recruitment. It's something that I know we speak about a lot. It's something that Andy does great work with, looking at the recruitment side of things. That's what it's going to come down to. We do need to recruit. I don't think we can do it just with Brereton and Gallagher. I don't think it's possible. But I think Mowbray knows that as well. Brereton, as good as he was today, isn't consistent enough, I don't think. There's times in games where he does just get lost. Gallagher seems to have a bit of a knack at times, but again, the consistency isn't there. Like I said, it's an exciting time in a weird way, isn't it? It's sad, but it's exciting to see what happens. It's the favourite time of the season, really, because it's that new season when all of a sudden you might bring new players in. You think, oh, God, we're going to do well this season. We're going to finish 4th or 3rd, and then we finish 15th. So let's just wait and see. I know that's not the answer. And I just want to circle back on something actually as well with what you said about Rhodes and Armour. I know that question was to Glenn, but I saw a similar comment in the thing. I think the thing with Rhodes was he did it consistently for 3 or 4 seasons, and it was like every single season he'd pop up with goals consistently. Armour, like you said, has done it where he'll pick up like maybe a hat trick. Like he's got 2 hat tricks in the past 3 games, is it? Yeah. Unbelievable. Rhodes never did that, but Rhodes would perhaps pick up 1, miss a game, pick up 2, miss a game, then pick up 1. So it was like all the time you've seen his name pop up saying, oh, Jordan Rhodes has scored, Jordan Rhodes has scored. There was a period when really we needed Armstrong to step up, and this is no slight on him because he's done superb this season. But in that 8-9 game period where he wasn't scoring goals, I think he got 1 goal in that time, and that was when we were playing poorly. It's like if he stepped up in that time and sort of scored the goals, it's a different season. I know that's really unfair because, well, it is unfair because he scored as many as he has. But there's been times this season where he has perhaps gone a little bit missing, and it was over that period where we were struggling as well. That's not all down to him. We weren't creating chances for him. But I think to answer that question, I think that's maybe the reason that we don't necessarily hold Armstrong in that high regard the way we did someone like Jordan Rhodes, and how people, even now, when he's not been scoring goals regularly since he left us, people are still clamouring for the return of him. So that's just my thought on that. Sorry if you didn't want it.
No, it's fine. I think the only thing I'll say on the 8 or 9 game period, I think most strikers do have a barren run in the season, and that just happened to be his at that moment in time. And I think what was evident was the others who weren't scoring, and that's where the better teams do well, because those goals are spread out and you're not just relying on the one striker to score the goals. So possibly a little bit harsh there, Tom, on Adam Armstrong. But no, I wanted to just focus a bit on Adam Armstrong, because I think he has suffered as a result of us not being there at games and not having that emotional attachment. The one thing I'll say, and I've picked it up all season, is off the pitch, he just appears such a nice bloke. I'm not visibly seeing him push for the move. He's getting on with his business, seems a humble bloke. So if that was Adam Armstrong's last game for Rovers, he was part of that League One promotion side. He's been part of a really good group of players over these last few seasons. Just want to say thank you to Adam Armstrong for his contribution to Rovers. It's been fantastic, and we should all remember him really highly, even with the chances that he's missed. Even though we've not been able to see him, his contribution has been top rate for Rovers, and he's really stepped in at a time when Bradley Dack wasn't there. So thank you to Adam Armstrong. Glenn, I want to come to you. One player I want to pick out today. He's had his critics this season, Amari Bell. So the rumours, as Jacob said earlier, is Amari Bell is probably going to sign a new contract. And we've got Harry Pickering coming in next season. And it looks like there's probably not a left back in the academy at the moment, like when we had Ryan Nyambe coming through. We've not got another one like that who could be Pickering's understudy. I think you could see today from Amari Bell a really confident performance, that now he knows where his future lies. Now he knows where he's going to be. He put in a decent performance, albeit, it was a weakened Birmingham backline. And yes, they were pretty loose at right back. But it was nice to see from Amari Bell today, wasn't it? That he was getting forward, albeit some of the passing and crossing was off at times. But I like seeing that. And if he's going to be our reserve left back and he can come on and cover for Harry Pickering like that, then brilliant.
Yeah, I think Bell's performance today is what we've all wanted him to do for the last 2.5, 3 years. Kind of get the ball, get forward, attack the fullback, and get balls into the box. It was his running that got the penalty, and it was Dack said on commentary, look how much space he's got out wide. You could see every time he got the ball, he was he was creating something. I think it probably helped. It's his former club as well, isn't it, Birmingham? So there's a little bit of kind of, I'll show you kind of about it. But he was brilliant. He was getting the ball, he was driving, he was getting at the fullback. I think the way they set up kind of played to his advantages. He could get past the fullback. But it was nice to see. He's another, I think, that he's never really won the fans over, has he, if we're being honest. He's always been, if we can change something, it's we need a new left back. And it was nice to see that. It doesn't look like it will be his last game today, but it was nice to see him put a performance in. I think in terms of next season, if we had to pick one between Bell and Douglas, I'd be picking Bell all day. I think Douglas has been a massive disappointment for me this season. I was a bit excited when we signed him. His set piece ability, he's got promotions before. From the sounds of it, he's one of the higher earners. I think. I've just been disappointed with him. I think Bell probably deserves to be second choice. If that's a positive comment, deserve to be second choice moving forward. But I am excited about Pickering. It'll be nice to see somebody else get given a goal there and see if they can kind of fill that spot. I do feel it has been a problem spot for us for a number of years. Left back, we've had the consistency in the Ambe at right back, but left back, I'm trying to think how far back since we had. Someone would look at and say, yeah, steady away, one of the first names on the team sheet for a left back, and Tommy Spur or the Olsen twins, probably looking that far back. I don't think Derek Williams, although he won Player of the Year there, as really was a kind of traditional getting forward left back. But no, back to Bell, because I know that's what your question was about. I thought he was good today. He was kind of 8 out of 10 at least. He was probably one of our best attacking threats. He won the penalty for us. Yeah, it was good. It was nice to see. I think, a round of applause for him today.
Yeah, it was nice to see, certainly. And I'm excited to see Harry Pickering next season. And if we can keep Joe Rankin Costello fit, or if Ryan Nyambe, is here next season and can get back to that attacking Ryan Nyambe that we've seen. I really want bombing fullbacks to be a good feature of our team next season. I'm really kind of like salivating at the mouth around that. I think sides that get their fullbacks high are really dangerous attacking outlets. So that's something I really want to see Rovers develop. Andy, I think the expectation is that Amari Bell's going to sign a new deal. I don't think it's been confirmed. I think it is rumours at this stage, but the expectation is that he's going to sign that new deal. And certainly in the comments, leap year man, Bella's second choice left back, financial no-brainer. That sentiment echoed by Chris there. Save the money for players that can be used in the starting 11. And that was it on those comments. Jonathan, I'm going to come to you, and we'll be ending this stream in about 5 or so minutes time, Rovers fans. So get your comments in quickly before we finish. So Jonathan, we saw today John Buckley, Jacob Davenport and Lewis Travis as a midfield three. I think Joe Rothwell next season is probably going to be in that midfield three, most likely in our preferred starting 11. But what did you make of those three in midfield today? I thought all three of them had fairly solid games. They looked okay. It was nice signs for next season, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought all three of them really contributed today. As Jacob said when he was first on, actually, Davenport had a good game where you actually didn't overly notice what he was doing. Just went round, getting his tackles in, pressing players, closing down the space, and just letting those get in front of him. With the ball. I thought Travis was good, actually. I actually think, I know we all think I personally think he was rushed back earlier in the season. He had a few good games and he got his time out of the side. I felt he's come back well the last 2 or 3 games, and actually think that he's actually done well further forward on the pitch. Actually, I think we've seen more of his drive and runs in the final third, and sort of he's contributed to that. Yeah, I thought Buckley was good today, and I think what Dak said in commentary was spot on. He's played a lot more games this season. He's really comfortable on the ball, but he's now got to sort of start adding that consistency in terms of the assists, creating chances and goals to his game. There was one time in the second half where he's received the ball just on the 6-yard box. You'd expect him to go back and play it to Nyambe. He's done a turn, gone away from the defender with ease, and then when he's gone to put the cross in, he's chipped it over the net and off the pitch. And it's like, oh, you've done the hard work. Just square it. But I think I do think we've got stuff with Buckley, and there will be certain games that suit him a bit more, where he's got that space where he can dictate, where he's got those quick feet. But as you said, I still think Rothwell needs to be ahead of him if they're going to play in that sort of like 8 or 10 position for next season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Joe Rothwell featuring a lot next season. He really if we are losing Adam Armstrong, if Harvey Elliott's not in that side, and we've spoken about his assists and goal contributions and things like that, Rothwell needs to step up next season. That has to be the season where Joe Rothwell grabs it. So he's got to be in that midfield for me, and in that starting one. And Tom, I'm just going to finish with you then, if I can. There's been a few names flying around from Leap Year Man and others in the comments. Players like Mauer, Asombalonga, Kadeem Harris. You know, these are all the types of players that are knocking around in that free injury list. What position do you think that Rovers absolutely need to nail next season in the transfer market with cash? If that's the only position that we spend, where would you be spending it?
Good question. That's not a nice question though.
No.
I'd like to see us bring in a proper winger. I think a proper winger that I think can put a good ball in, got a bit of pace about him. Because I think we lack that. I think we've got a lot of players that can play on the wing, but aren't necessarily natural wingers, if that makes sense. So Burton and Gallagher are the two perfect examples. Both of them play off the wing, but neither of them are wingers. If not wing though, probably centre half, because we need a permanent partner for Lenihan. People talking about Wharton, and Carter's done brilliantly as well at Burton, but I still think that you need to bring in someone for good cash that's going to be a solid long-term partner for Lenihan, because it'd be a hell of a lot to ask someone like Hayden Carter to come back from Burton as well as he has done in League One, and then just shove him in at centre half. Though I am excited to see just how much he's come on in pre-season. But if you had to push me, I will say the winger, just because I like fast, tricky wingers that can create something almost out of nothing. Because just thinking about what the team could be next season, it does get you a little bit excited. I don't know why, because we'll probably do rubbish again. But I was thinking in my head just then, you could have Davenport and Travis and Rothwell just at the top of that, and then you could have maybe Brereton centre, bring in a winger, shove Joe Costello on the other side, Nambi at right back, and you get lost, and you start thinking of signings you could make, and then we'll do it all again. We'll be here this time next year crying because Rovers have finished 15th in a season they should have done a little bit better. So yeah, but winger is the answer to your question in a long-winded way.
It's the joy of football, Tom, everything that you've said. Yes, it's not been the greatest season, but, I have it with Rovers and I have it with England as well. I think England are going to go and win the Euros. I think Rovers are going to have an amazing season. We all do it. We're all guilty of it. And do you know what? We're not fans if we don't get excited. It's a clean slate at the start of the season. And I think with some savvy signings in the transfer window, if we really use that free transfer market well, if we use that Adam Armstrong cash sensibly in the way that we have, if we get some good Premier League loans like we've done, it might not all be doom and gloom for Rovers. And, Andy, who's really active in the comments today, Andy's really pushed the stats supporting Rovers this season. We are a really odd side. All these different metrics do point to Rovers not being far away from a good side at the moment. And we've spoken about Adam Armstrong with 28 goals. We've spoken about a plus 11 goal difference. We've spoken about 65 league goals this season. We've spoken about the fact we're a possession-based side. With a few things in the summer, who knows? It might all come together. So, Tom, you're not wrong to be optimistic about next season, even though what we've been served this season hasn't been great. That's why we're fans. That's why we do it. So there we go. So I think we're going to end the stream there. I just want to thank the three of you just for two things, really, for all of your contributions through the season on the live streams. Really appreciate you joining me on these. And thank you for giving up your time this afternoon as well and doing the final post-match stream of the season. It's going to be boring on Saturday afternoons for a while, isn't it? But thank you to the three of you. It's been amazing. One of you is going to acknowledge.
Thank you, Ryan. You've been brilliant, obviously, Austin and everything. I think yourself and Joe have really just put Rovers channel forward thinking. Obviously, we've gone from having just like a podcast and Andy's stats show to all these live streams. I think everyone that's contributed, those that come in, should be dead proud. Because I think we've done really well, haven't we? And it's good being on with like Glenn and Jonathan. Don't often get to speak to them outside of like the group chats and stuff. So it's brilliant to be on. Obviously, thank you to the listeners.
Yeah, no, thank you to everyone. The viewers make it all worthwhile. It's why we give up our time, and everyone's been so kind in the super chats on the watch along today. All that money just goes right back into the Rovers chat site. So we're going to get our heads down and think about the content for next season. If we are going to be back in stadiums, if we are or not in away grounds next season, we'll have a think about the content. But absolutely, we want to evolve the live streams. We want to evolve the videos. We want to keep doing what we're doing. And I just really want to emphasize a point I made on the watch along as well. We're not going to have Saturday football for a while. And I know that the streams and the stuff that we've done, I know that the football in general does keep people going when they're feeling alone. So I really just want to underline the point that the Rovers chat Twitter account, the DM is always open. All of us on these panels, our DMs are always open as well. Please, please reach out. You're not alone. Don't be a stranger. If you're struggling, please just get in contact with one of us, because we're all one big Rovers family. So we know the pandemic's been hard for a lot of people, and I don't want anyone to feel like these streams and the gap that these streams leaves is going to tip you over the edge or anything like that. So please, please, please reach out and contact one of us if you are feeling that way. So yeah, we will absolutely finish it up there. Let you all go and enjoy the rest of your evenings. I'm hoping the weather somehow improves at some point. It feels like it's never going to do that, apart from where Glenn sat and possibly where Jonathan sat. But yeah, we're done there. Rovers have signed out with a brilliant 5-2 victory. We've come 15th. If you predicted 15th for this season, hats off to you. You got your prediction right, but I think most people are feeling disappointed. But hey, we'll dust ourselves down. We'll go and enjoy those Euros. And then we'll be back, hopefully, in Ewood Park in August. That'll be the dream. And if you see any of us at the stadium, come and tap us on the shoulder. Come and say hello. Let's have a pint. Let's go and enjoy the football. And we'll be back doing what we know and love next season, I hope. So I'll say bye to Jonathan, bye to Tom, bye to Glenn. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. I will leave you with our 2 sponsor messages from Blue Rose Capital and from 𝒐𝒗𝒆𝒔 See you later, everyone, and have a good rest of the day. See you later. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 𝒐𝒗𝒆𝒔 They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.